to it.
Russell Westbrook does not have a team, and there are no credible reports of him signing anywhere. So what now? Last season, man put up 15 points and 7 assists for the Kings on a minimum contract. Plays hard. Isn't that the exact thing that teams are looking for in the second apron pay cut era? And fans want to see like one more year where it started in OKC. Or point out that the Heat need guard. See, like one more year where it started in OKC.
I'm really not one of those dudes to be like, cause I feel like when people be saying they being realistic, they're just being negative. But that is just being unrealistic right there. I ain't gonna lie.
Fans want to see like one more year where it started in OKC. Or point out that the Heat need guard play, but no one's calling. Now, a similar thing happened last year. People said Russ is done. Then 1 week before the season, Kings sign him to a non-guaranteed contract. Problem is, if he does that this year, it could stretch into the actual season. Waiting on an injury at his position. But how embarrassing would it be if Russ is sitting there as like MVP Hall of Famer and the call never comes? He would be like putting IG workout videos like Isaiah Thomas or Lance Stevenson. No one wants to see Brody go out like that, right? So his 3 options are wait for the call, like we said, not ideal. Retire now on his own terms or go overseas. And reports say teams want him. Panathinaikos in Greece, Hapoel Tel Aviv, or Dubai, BC, which reminds you of like Cristiano Ronaldo breaking the bank to finish his career. I mean, what if for the right price, Russ goes over there, dominates like he can't do in the NBA anymore? But his lack of skill is not why NBA teams are scared to call. It all comes down to something that happened in Denver 2 years ago. You remember how Russ was playing well alongside Nikola Jokic, right? Joker makes everything easier, and Russ had moments. But something happened, and it might have killed Russ's career. But I have had fun collecting, pulling 8 instantly. Pioneer, who's my playing well to start the year, but his play tailed off near the end. Started missing a lot of shots, logged his worst turnover rate ever. One terrible moment was double overtime against the Wolves. Russ with a chance at a dagger, misses the layup, then late to rotate on his man, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. When he does get there, he fouls the 3-point shot. Wolves win on free throws.
I do remember that, but he helped them win against the Clippers though.
Wow. But Coach Michael Malone refused to bench Russ to play his young guys. In fact, The Athletic said, Malone's choice to continue supporting Westbrook, despite the frustration he's causing on and off the floor, led to a loss of credibility among the team's key players. It was one thing when Malone handed Jokic and Murray more leniency, but affording Westbrook that same sort of treatment was not received well by some. Shortly after that, Malone got fired.
Shit, he's an MVP though, right?
They promoted assistant David Adelman, who wasn't afraid to bench Russ, played poorly in the postseason, and the front office asked Russ to leave. So not only can he not shoot, defend, move off the ball, but coach is getting fired? That's not good. But a lot of fans say, no, that's not it. This all started on the Lakers. They hurt him. He wasn't even playing his role. They wanted to be a spot-up shooter. In fact, LeBron destroyed his reputation. Yeah, something to that. When Russ joined LA, he was still a max player, but for the first time was sent to the bench and has never been the same. So was he unfairly scapegoated, or is that just a narrative? Well, it turns out there is great reporting about this, and it's not all Russ's fault. LeBron might act like he's not the GM, but as soon as they lost in that first round year after a championship, man was recruiting. First 2 players he spoke to, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard. LA didn't have enough assets to get him. Third player, DeMar DeRozan. In fact, when DeMar left LeBron's house, he was like, I'm a Laker. But Rob Pelinka couldn't get that done. So way down the list was Russell Westbrook. And what did Russ tell Bron? All he cared about was winning. He would sacrifice whatever it took. So Pelinka ships out Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the 22nd pick. But it went wrong game 1. Warriors win 121-114. LeBron and AD go for like 30 plus. Russ has 8 points. But the problem was the press conference. Russ walked in like his dog had died after 1 game. So coaches are like trying to find the role for Russ. It's not working. So he forces bricking shots, driving 1-on-5 and like coughing it up. The opposite of the guy who said he would sacrifice. An assistant coach said every game we'd be on the bench saying to each other, we just talked about this, and he's right back to doing the same crazy shit. Then mid-January, Frank Vogel had enough. Pacers' game plan was obvious. Force Karis LeVert left. Not good that way. But fourth quarter, Russ just lets him go right, and LeVert scores Indy up 6. So with 3:52 on the clock, Vogel benches Russ. Man was 5 for 17 at the time, but who does he blame? The coaches. Tells reporters, my job just changes every night. Dunker spot one game, ball in my hands the next. What am I gonna do? It's not my fault. But what happened next was ugly. Russ goes 2 for 14 in Sacramento. The arena starts playing cold as ice every time he misses. Fans are calling him Westbrook from the sideline. So a former MVP becoming a punchline in the league. It is messed up. And the fans who say he was treated like garbage are right. LeBron out here saying one thing in the media and another thing in private. So things were miserable. And who takes the fall? Frank Vogel, fired at the end of the season. So put Denver and LA side by side, okay? Frank Vogel benches Russ, loses the locker room and his job. Mike Malone plays Russ, loses the locker room and his job. So if you're a coach or a front office, you're like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with this guy. I know he puts up some numbers, but it's just a lot to deal with. He might have had a fine year in Sacramento, okay, but it's not like they wanted him back. Something's going on here. Russ may be off the bench on a minimum, but he's a lot to deal with. Would you rather give a 38-year-old who gives you 15 and 7, hands your coach a no-win situation, or give that spot to a 23-year-old with upside who doesn't cost anybody their job? It's really not a hard call, and why the phone didn't ring it. But part of this video clearly is trying to convince people who don't understand why Russ doesn't have a job, like what the real reason is. It's because he's a big presence, okay? There's a lot to dealing with Russ. He'd be perfect in Europe. Can you imagine? That's exactly what these European soccer teams or a lot of these MLS teams do. When a guy has lost a step in the best league in the world, they come to a lower league, and that step that they had lost, they're right back to where they were like 5 years ago, and they're able to, for a few years, play out the string, sell a lot of tickets, and have fun playing basketball. In fact, Russ even said at the end of this season that all he wants to do is go somewhere where he's wanted, that he can have fun and just play ball. And that's why he's doing this at this point, by the way, is for the love of the game. He's almost a billionaire. He's not doing this for a couple extra $1,000,000, right? Why not go to Europe? It's because honestly of his pride. And I guess he's
hearing like that little noise where like something's getting plugged in and out of your PC.
Allowed to have that. We know he's a prideful guy. When people started calling him Westbrook, that's when he really lost it. Going up to fans and confronting them, not a lot of people do that. He's a prideful guy, whatever. And so going over to Europe is like a step down, a lot of like the Shanghai Sharks meme, but he's not going to go to the Shanghai Sharks. I get it. But at the same time, like that seal is broken in soccer for some reason. It's not looked on like that. And I saw a fake report. It's not real, but it was like Hapoel Tel Aviv pays a record $150 million for Russell Westbrook. Like that, I think that kind of thing would get him to do it. But honestly, a lot of these European teams, they only pay their like star vets like $5 to $7 million take home pay at the end for 1 year. So $150 million for over 4 years, or whatever, that would be insane. Like I don't think that would ever happen. I don't know if they could even make that back. Like, are the basketball fans in Europe and in the Middle East, like Dubai or whatever, are they that crazy about basketball to make up that money? I don't know. But another thing about Europe is a lot of these leagues, a lot of the talent is drained, and it's now gone. Someone's calling me. You see that? It's junk mail. A lot of the talent has gone to college basketball in the United States because these kids are making more in U.S. college than they are in Europe. They need talent. They need box office. They need excitement. Russ would be perfect. Somebody should offer him like a Godfather offer, and he should do it and not be too prideful to do it either. The other thing is, what about the NBA? Okay, so what kind of NBA team would need Russ? You would think it would be a veteran team. Okay, there are two types of teams, right? Veteran teams or young teams. And young teams, you could argue, you're trying to tank. So having Russ might not be the worst thing, right? And Russ is a good locker room guy, and he could help, mentor guys in the locker room. The problem is, like, think about the young teams, like the Grizzlies, right? Like, they're a youth movement team. A lot of these front offices, they're trying to find the diamond in the rough who could turn into something really good. Like the OKC Thunder do this great with like an AJ Mitchell, right? Like they sign some two-way guy. That's what you use your roster spots on. By the way, it's not all about money. There's a salary cap. Also, there's a certain amount of roster spots. Russ takes a roster spot. Forget just the money, right? Oh, it's only $4 million. What if you found the next AJ Mitchell? If you're a Grizzlies, you can't afford not to give that spot to that young type guy, right? And then if you're the Pelicans, you're trying to win, and Russ is not that. And the veteran teams are really trying to win. The Heat, the Warriors, the Rockets. You can't play Russ in the playoffs. Like Rockets, he can't shoot, but he can distribute. So you think, okay, back up Fred VanVleet, you might need that. But the fact is that you can't play Russ in the postseason. Heat are a terrible idea. Dude, he cannot stretch the floor. He can't shoot. It'd be terrible next to Giannis and Bam Adebayo. Like, how is that ever a rumor? It's crazy, right? But if you can't play in the playoffs at all, that's a problem. And, you know, you may be able to bench Russ here or there, maybe in a crunch time game here or there. You can't take him totally out of a playoff rotation. That will kill your locker room and your vibes, right? So I totally get why these teams are just staying away. It's like, yo, you are a lot to deal with. Even on, you know, a contending team like the Nuggets, the coach got fired, and Russ was a part of it. I don't want to say a big part of it, definitely a part of it. Yo, that's not worth it at this point. Okay, 38 years old, sorry. And then if you're a young team, you don't want him because you're trying to develop guys. I get it. So I think the only two options, since the title of the videos, we know where Russ going to next. Retirement, like Chris Paul. Chris Paul said he retired on his own terms. He wanted to go with another team there at the end. He did. And then he said, oh, no, I'm retiring. It's like, okay, you didn't have a choice. Or go overseas. I would love it if he went overseas. That would be so great. Okay, hey, this video, y'all should watch it. It's about...
That nigga Chris Paul did retire, huh?
All of the kind of weird things that happened in this offseason that people didn't really notice. I didn't want to like lead with some of these stories in the title of the thumbnail because I knew people wouldn't click it. Some of these stories are fascinating. So the Gary Trent Jr. thing, the DeAndre Jordan thing, whatever. So a lot of things in the crazy offseason